First Contact Protocol. The monitoring station at the edge of the Helix Nebula hummed with quiet efficiency. Commander Zek stood before the massive observation window, watching the swirling clouds of deadly radiation that had claimed dozens of ships over the centuries. The nebula was beautiful in its own terrifying way, with ribbons of purple and gold energy dancing through space like the breath of some cosmic beast. "Commander," called sensor operator Vrick from his station. The young Corvin's voice carried a note of confusion that made Jex turn from the window. "I'm detecting something unusual in Sector 7 of the nebula." Jex crossed the command center with measured steps. As a veteran of 3 wars, he had learned not to show alarm even when his instincts screamed danger. "What kind of unusual, Vrick?" "A ship signature, sir. But that's impossible." Vrick's scaled fingers danced across his control panel. "The radiation levels in that sector would cook any living thing in minutes. No shielding technology exists that could protect a vessel in there." "Show me," Jex ordered, his yellow eyes narrowing as he studied the readings. The scanner clearly showed a vessel, moving through the nebula's most dangerous region, not drifting like a dead hulk but actively navigating with purpose and control. The main screen flickered to life, showing a magnified view of the nebula. There, moving steadily through the swirling death, was a ship unlike anything in the Corvin database. It was sleek and angular with a white hull marked by blue stripes. Most shocking of all, it appeared to be completely undamaged by the radiation that would have destroyed any known vessel. "Run a full spectrum analysis," Jex commanded. "I want to know everything about that ship." The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of scanning equipment. Jex felt his heart rate increase as impossible readings filled the screens. The ship's energy signature was unlike anything he had ever seen, and its hull composition defied every law of physics he knew. "Sir," Vrick said quietly, "the computer has identified the vessel. It's human." The word hung in the air like a physical presence. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as a young species, barely a century out from their home system. They had small fleets, primitive weapons, and technology that the Corvin Empire considered quaint at best. Yet here was a human ship doing the impossible. "That cannot be correct," Jex said. But even as he spoke, he knew the sensors were right. The ship's design matched human patterns, though it was far more advanced than anything in their intelligence. "Files. Open a channel to High Command," he ordered. "Priority Alpha. Tell them we have a Code 7 situation." Miles away inside the human vessel Terra's Pride, Captain Elena Vasquez studied her own set of impossible readings. She was a compact woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much of the galaxy's dangers. The bridge around her was clean and efficient, designed for a crew that valued function over form. "How are we holding up, Kai?" she asked her science officer. Dr. Kai Singh looked up from his console, his dark eyes bright with excitement. "The quantum resonance drive is performing beyond all expectations, Captain. We're shifting our molecular structure to match the nebula's energy patterns. The radiation passes right through us like we're not even here." Elena nodded, though she still didn't fully understand the technology they were using. The drive had been developed from theoretical research that most scientists said was impossible. Yet here they were, sailing through one of the most dangerous regions in known space like it was a calm lake. "Any sign of the colony ship?" she asked. "Still picking up their distress beacon," replied Communications Officer Marcus Reed. "Signal is weak but steady. They're alive, Captain, but they won't be for much longer. That ship wasn't designed for extended exposure to nebular radiation." Elena's jaw tightened. The colony ship Frontier Dream had been carrying 3,000 settlers to a new world when it had vanished in the nebula 3 weeks ago. The rescue mission had been considered suicide by most of the Terran Fleet Command, but Elena had volunteered, anyway. No human got left behind, not if she could help it. "How long until we reach them?" 6 hours at current speed," Marcus replied. "But Captain, we're picking up something else. Multiple ships on the nebula's edge. They're keeping their distance, but there are a lot of them." Elena studied the tactical display. At least 20 ships hung in space outside the nebula's deadly embrace, and more were arriving by the hour. They were clearly military vessels, though their design was unfamiliar. "Corvin Empire," she said after a moment. "This is their space. They probably think we're invading. Should we try to communicate? Marcus asked. Not yet. Let's focus on the rescue first. We can explain ourselves later. Back on the monitoring station, Commander Jex received word that the Corvin High Command was mobilizing 3 battle fleets to deal with the human incursion. The news should have pleased him, but instead it filled him with dread. 3 fleets meant thousands of ships and hundreds of thousands of lives at stake. Commander, Vrick reported, the human ship is heading deeper into the nebula. They're approaching the core region. Jex felt his blood run cold. The core of the Helix Nebula was where the ancient warning spoke of things that should never be disturbed. It was why the Empire had declared the entire region forbidden, why they maintained this monitoring station to ensure no one ever went too deep. Are they insane? He whispered. Sir, perhaps they don't know about the restrictions, Vrick suggested. Humans are a young species. They might not understand the danger. But Jex wasn't convinced. The human ship moved with too much purpose, too much confidence. Either they knew exactly what they were doing, or they were walking into a trap that would make the nebula's radiation look harmless by comparison. On the Terra's Pride, Dr. Singh was discovering something that would change everything. Captain, he called out, excitement making his voice crack slightly. I'm detecting artificial structures in the nebula's core. They're old, older than any known civilization, but they're still active. Elena moved to his station, studying the readings. Active how? They're responding to our presence. It's like they're scanning us, learning about us. Captain, I think the nebula isn't natural. It's some kind of containment field, and we're heading straight for whatever it's meant to contain. The implications hit Elena like a physical blow. If the nebula was artificial, then someone or something had created it. And if it was still active after thousands of years, that something might still be alive. Change course, she ordered. Take us around the core region. Captain, the colony ship is in the core, Marcus reported. If we go around, we'll lose them. Elena closed her eyes, weighing the lives of 3,000 colonists against the unknown dangers ahead. When she opened them again, her decision was made. We continue on course, but all stations maximum alert. We're going into the unknown. As the Terra's Pride pushed deeper into the nebula, Commander Jex watched from his station with growing alarm. The human ship was approaching the point of no return, the place where ancient warnings said even the gods feared to tread. Sir, Vrick said quietly, what if they're not invaders? What if they're just trying to help someone? Jex looked at the young officer, surprised by the question. What do you mean? The ship's course, sir, it's not random. They're following something, tracking a signal. What if there's someone in the nebula who needs help? The idea was so simple, so obvious that Jex couldn't believe he hadn't considered it before. Humans were known for their strange attachment to individual lives, their willingness to risk everything for a single person. Could it be that this impossible ship was on a rescue mission? Open a channel to the human vessel, he ordered. Sir, the radiation interference, try anyway. If they're trying to save someone, they need to know what they're heading into. But the message never reached the Terra's Pride. The nebula's energy patterns scrambled the transmission, turning Jex's warning into meaningless static. All Elena heard was the hiss of interference and what sounded like alien words she couldn't understand. They're trying to communicate, Marcus reported. But I can't make out what they're saying. Keep trying, Elena ordered. We might need their help before this is over. As the Terra's Pride approached the nebula's core, ancient systems began to stir. Deep within the swirling energy, something that had slept for millennia started to wake up. Sensors older than human civilization detected the approaching ship and began to activate defenses that had been dormant since the galaxy was young. Commander, Jex watched his instruments with growing horror as massive energy readings began to spike throughout the nebula. Whatever the humans had found, it was beginning to respond to their presence. Sir, Vrick said, his voice barely a whisper, the energy levels are off the charts. If those readings are accurate, there's enough power in the nebula's core to destroy an entire star system. Jex stared at the impossible numbers on his screen. The humans had found something that could threaten every living thing in the galaxy, and they were heading straight for it. either unaware of the danger or determined to face it anyway. Send word to the battle fleets, he ordered. Tell them to prepare for anything, and pray to whatever gods are listening that we're all still alive when this is over. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the courage of two species and reveal secrets that had been hidden since the dawn of time. In the depths of the Helix Nebula, ancient powers stirred, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The ancient truth. The Corvan battle fleet arrived at the edge of the Helix Nebula like a storm of metal and death. Admiral Trock commanded, the largest armada the Empire had assembled in 50 years. From the vast bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Dawn, he watched the swirling energy of the nebula with the eyes of a predator studying its prey. Status report, Trock commanded. His voice carried the weight of authority earned through decades of warfare. Scars crisscrossed his scaled hide, each one a reminder of battles won and enemies defeated. The human vessel has penetrated the core region, reported his tactical officer. Energy readings from the nebula are increasing exponentially. Whatever they found in there, it's waking up. Trock's claws clicked against his command chair. Humans had always been an annoyance, a minor species that occasionally needed to be reminded of their place in the galaxy. But this was different. This was a threat to the natural order, to everything the Corvan Empire had built over centuries of conquest. Prepare all weapons, he ordered. The moment that human ship emerges from the nebula, we destroy it. We cannot allow them to escape, with whatever technology they've discovered. Deep within the nebula, Captain Elena Vasquez faced a sight that challenged everything she thought she knew about the universe. The Terra's pride hung in space before a structure that defied description. It was massive, easily the size of a small moon, but it seemed to exist in several dimensions at once. Crystalline towers stretched into impossible geometries, their surfaces covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. "My God," whispered Dr. Singh from his science station. "Elena, this is it. This is the source of the interference patterns we've been detecting. It's some kind of automated defense system, and it's been running for thousands of years." "Automated defense for what?" Elena asked, though part of her feared the answer. Before Singh could respond, the structure began to change. Lights that had been dim for millennia flared to life, and energy readings spiked beyond the Terra's pride's ability to measure. The ancient station was fully awakening, and its attention was focused entirely on the small human ship. "Captain," called Marcus from communications, "I'm receiving a signal from the structure. It's trying to communicate with us. Can you understand it? It's not using words. It's sending images, concepts. It's showing me the history of the galaxy, the rise and fall of civilizations, wars that consumed entire star systems," and Marcus paused, his face going pale. "Captain, this thing isn't just a defense system. It's a guardian left behind by a species that saw what war could do to the galaxy." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "What is it guarding?" The answer came not from Marcus but from the structure itself. The space around the Terra's pride shimmered, and suddenly they could see beyond the nebula's concealing energies. There, hidden in the core, was a fleet of ships unlike anything ever built. They were sleek and deadly, with weapons that could crack planets and shields that could turn aside the energy of stars. "The Devourers," Singh breathed. "I've read about them in ancient texts. They were a species that consumed everything in their path, turning entire worlds into fuel for their war machine. This structure, this guardian, it's what finally stopped them." Elena stared at the imprisoned fleet, understanding beginning to dawn. The nebula isn't just containing the ships, it's keeping them in stasis, preventing them from ever waking up. And our presence here might be disrupting that stasis. Singh added grimly. As if responding to his words, one of the ancient ships began to glow with malevolent energy. The Guardian system immediately responded, sending waves of containment force to push the Devourer vessel back into dormancy. But the effort was clearly straining the ancient defenses. "Captain, we need to leave," Marcus said urgently. "The Guardian is trying to tell us that our ship's energy signature is interfering with the containment field. If we stay much longer, we might accidentally free the Devourers." But Elena couldn't leave. Not yet. "The colony ship, Marcus. Where are they? Marcus checked his readings, his face grim. They're on the other side of the Guardian structure. Their ship must have been caught in the same energy field that's keeping the Devourers contained. Elena made a decision that would define her career and possibly the fate of the galaxy. We're going after them. Plot a course around the Guardian structure. Captain, that's insane, Singh protested. We don't know what those energy fields will do to us. We're not leaving 3,000 people to die, Elena replied firmly. That's what makes us human. We don't abandon our own. Outside the nebula, Commander Jacques watched his instruments with growing alarm. The energy readings from the nebula's core had reached levels that threatened to overload his sensors. Whatever the humans had found, it was powerful enough to be detected across half the star system. Sir, Vrick reported, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures within the nebula. Whatever's in there, it's not just the human ship. Jacques studied the readings, his military training allowing him to recognize weapon signatures even when they came from unknown sources. Those are warships, he said quietly. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all concentrated around the human vessel. The implications were staggering. If the humans had found a hidden fleet in the nebula, it would explain their confidence in entering Corvin space. But it also meant that the Empire faced a threat beyond anything they had prepared for. Send a message to Admiral Trock, Jacques ordered. Tell him the situation has changed. We're not dealing with a single human ship anymore. Aboard the Terra's Pride, Elena guided her ship through a maze of energy fields and ancient defenses. The Guardian system seemed to recognize their rescue mission, clearing paths through the containment barriers while keeping the Devourer ships locked in stasis. There, Marcus called out, pointing to a signal on his screen. The Frontier Dream. They're alive, but their ship is badly damaged. Elena could see the colony ship through the view screen, a battered vessel held in place by the Guardian's energy fields. Escape pods were scattered around it, their occupants depending on failing life support systems. Begin rescue operations, Elena ordered. All available personnel to the shuttle bays. We're bringing our people home. The rescue took precious hours, time that the Guardian system couldn't afford to lose. With each passing minute, the ancient defenses grew weaker, and the Devourer ships began to stir more actively. Elena watched the energy readings climb higher and higher, knowing that they were running out of time. Last shuttle is aboard, Marcus reported. 3,047 colonists, all safe. Elena felt a moment of relief, but it was short-lived. The Guardian system was failing, its ancient mechanisms finally succumbing to the strain of containing the Devourer fleet while protecting the human ships. Captain, Singh called out urgently, the containment field is collapsing. We have maybe 10 minutes before those ships break free. Elena stared at the awakening Devourer fleet, understanding the magnitude of the threat they represented. These ships had once consumed entire civilizations. If they escaped the nebula, they would begin their feast anew, and nothing in the galaxy would be able to stop them. Can we reinforce the containment field? She asked. Singh shook his head. Our technology is too different. We'd need to understand the Guardian systems perfectly, and we don't have that kind of time. Elena made another decision that would change everything. Open a channel to the Corvin fleet outside the nebula. Captain? Marcus asked, confused. They think we're invaders, Elena explained. But if those Devourer ships break free, the Corvins will be the first to die. We need their help. The message that reached Admiral Trock was unlike anything he had expected. Instead of surrender or defiance, the human captain was warning him of a threat that made their territorial dispute seem trivial. The idea was so outrageous that Trock's first instinct was to dismiss it as human trickery. But the energy readings from the nebula supported the humans' claims. Something was indeed stirring in the core, something with power signatures that dwarfed anything in the Corvin fleet. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the nebula is beginning to destabilize. If those energy levels continue to climb, the resulting explosion will destroy everything within 100 light-years. Trock found himself facing an impossible choice. Trust the humans and risk his fleet, or maintain position and watch as an ancient evil consumed the galaxy. Signal the fleet, he decided. All ships enter the nebula. We're going to help the humans. The next hour saw an unprecedented cooperation between two species that had been on the brink of war. Corvan engineers worked alongside human technicians to understand the Guardian's failing systems. The combined fleets formed a protective barrier around the ancient structure while their best minds struggled to find a solution. Dr. Singh worked frantically with Corvan scientists, sharing knowledge that both species had thought was secret. The breakthrough came when they realized that the Guardian system wasn't trying to destroy the Devourer ships. It was trying to transform them, to purge the consuming hunger that drove their species to endless war. "We can complete the process," Singh announced to both fleets. "But it will require every ship we have, human and Corvan alike, to channel our energy through the Guardian system." It was a desperate plan that required absolute trust between former enemies. But as the Devourer ships began to break free from their ancient prison, there was no other choice. The combined fleet formed a complex pattern around the Guardian structure, their energy signatures harmonizing in ways that neither species had thought possible. Human adaptability merged with Corvan experience, creating a solution that neither could have achieved alone. The transformation was beautiful and terrible to behold. The ancient Devourer ships dissolved into pure energy, their malevolent hunger purged by the combined will of two species working together. The Guardian system, its purpose finally fulfilled, powered down peacefully after millennia of vigilant service. In the aftermath, as the nebula began to clear and reveal the stars beyond, Admiral Trock found himself speaking directly with Captain Vasquez. The conversation was awkward at first, two warriors trying to find common ground after avoiding a war neither had truly wanted. "Your species is remarkable," Trock admitted. "To risk everything for people you barely knew, to trust former enemies with your lives. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other." Elena nodded, exhaustion and relief warring in her expression. "The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. Maybe it's time we face those dangers together instead of fighting each other." The rescue of the frontier dream had become something much larger, the first step toward an alliance that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. As the combined fleets emerged from the clearing nebula, they carried with them not just the rescued colonists, but the seeds of a partnership that would endure for generations. The ancient threat was ended, the Guardian's long watch was complete, and two species had learned that cooperation was stronger than conquest. In the vast emptiness of space, a new chapter in galactic history had begun, written by the courage of humans who refused to abandon their own, and Corvans who chose trust over fear. The Terra's pride set course for home, but Elena knew they were no longer alone in the darkness. They had found allies among the stars, and together they would face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring.